for the men to run a sample deck, right? This is how it looks when you run it. So great, success. The contingency table below provides the following information: the observed cell totals and the chi-square statistics for each cell. The chi-square statistic, p-value and statement of the significance appear beneath the table. Blue means you're dealing with dependent variables, red is independent. First thing you see, blue, obvious, tells you these variables are dependent on each other. That's awesome. Tells you again that you have a significance level. A p-value of more than 5.5, it tells you you're significant. So we're right here. And anybody who deals with data, you know, you want your margin of error, you don't want anything more than the 3 or 5 basically. Then you're talking about something that doesn't even matter. When you're within this, you're talking about something that has a great level of significance. So for people who are trying to convince their institution, convince the uppers, the people who have the power of the purse, the power of the agenda, which I totally understand, institutional politics, to jump on board with food pantry, fresh food pantries, whether it be just getting started or getting the idea on the agenda, I highly suggest using something like this because it's simple, but it also shows the great deal of significance and need for something like that on your institution, on your campus. Or it shows that you all are doing such an awesome job with feeding your students that you don't need any of this and that your students are healthy and happy, okay? So either way, I think that it's, you know, a good tool. Okay, so we're good. All right, so traditional responses to food insecurity on campus. This is what we've seen. If you guys have been to other campuses, if you've done a little bit of research, if you've read anything about it, you've probably seen pre-packed food, a shopping style model, hopefully a fresh produce model, which I'll show you a little bit about ours in a second, and mixed merchandise. So your pre-packed is your cabinets, cupboards, drawers that tend to have non-perishable items and snacks. Something very simple, very basic. A lot of people have that in their offices or in their student lounges. It tends to be open 24 hours a day. Not much, you know, total access for everybody for the most part. Very simple. Shopping style model is a designated area with various non-perishable food items that are itemized and sectioned for distribution. Again, you'll tend to see things like oodles of noodles or cans. A lot of times when people donate, they might buy stuff from Costco and break it down and then repackage them and sectioned off, which is what I mean by that too. Fresh produce model, fresh food produce model. Designated area equipped with resources to preserve, section, and distribute fresh produce and other perishable and non-perishable food, like the one we have at the University District of Columbia. There you have to make sure you're following within food safety regulations as well. Refrigerators to hold fresh produce, depending on the amount of time that you're holding it. If you're going to be separating, cutting food or baked goods, you need to make sure you have stuff to clean and sterilize, especially if you have bread you're using with nuts, if you're cutting up vegetables or cutting up large items and rebagging or repackaging them. Making sure you also have things to wash off, things that come straight from the farm to wash off dirt and like heavy dirt and heavy things if you're getting organic produce and things like that. So again, lots of different steps that kind of come as you grow into larger and more of your pantries. Mixed merchandise model. I tend to see a lot of these, which are I think is the ideal what people want to grow to. Is a designated area with various food, school supplies, and toiletry items which are sectioned for distribution. I've seen a lot of these where you can get school supplies, where you can get toiletries, where you can get food. Makes a ton of sense. A lot of times you hear people say, hey, we have canned goods. We realize no one was taking the canned goods because no one has can openers. Heard that a bunch of times. So it does make sense that you will see pantries that offer supplies in addition to the food, in addition to other items. Totally makes sense if that's the route that people at your university want to go. It makes sense. And don't be surprised also if you hear about faculty and staff that want to use the pantry. A lot of times I think we focus only on students, and being that I live in Washington, D.C., which is one of the most expensive cities to live in the country, we did realize when we opened the pantry that it wasn't just the students who were interested. It was also our staff and our faculty. Not only should students not have to go to Whole Foods to spend $300 to be nutrient to have nutritious foods, necessarily not to anybody. And so, and also when you live in one of the most expensive cities in the country, it can be pretty difficult. And so we started to understand that, wow, this is not just a problem for students, but also for the staff and faculty in general, people in general. Okay, so traditional campus pantry experiences. So you might go and say, hey, we need this. And then like the first thing people say is, we don't have enough room, or I don't have this, and we don't have that, and we don't have, guess what? You need almost barely nothing. Like literally nothing to run a pantry. That's what we have learned. Those of us who've done it. we learned you can do it almost on nothing. So 45% of campus pantries took 1 to 4 years to open after the decision to open the pantry was made. It's really that simple. It takes a little bit of time sometimes. It's cool. Many pantries had difficulty estimating their budgets because they relied on in-kind contributions and donations rather than allocating funding. You're not alone. None of us really know how much we donate. It's okay. You're not alone. You got it. But the campus pantries that were able to provide specific budgetary information reported annual budgets averaging just more than $15 per year. That's only $41 a day. I know people who spend $41 a day at Starbucks. All these Starbucks cups in here. So I'm just saying, when people start saying to you, I can't do it, if you really can. Speaking of this, I was talking to somebody here, and we were talking about the pantry here at Penn State, and we were talking about the one that's over by the law school versus the one that they wanted to have here. And the first thing the gentleman said here was, I don't have the space to have it here. I was like, yes you do. We only need about 100 feet. And what's that say? Most common size of a dedicated campus pantry space is between 100 and 300 square feet. The typical average home bedroom of your bed, 180 feet. So literally, again, not much. A storage room. I know storage rooms, probably in this building, that are bigger than that. Right now, I could probably go find one. Okay? So, nearly 25% of campus pantries receive food at no cost in their local food bank. Okay? Half of the campus pantries also purchase food at a discount or at market prices. Now, I will say there's a caveat to that. They have started creating apps for consumers to go purchase discounted and marked down food so that the grocery stores can stop losing money giving away food to people who run pantries. So I think that is going to become a little bit difficult in the future, but I think there's a way to work around that like anything else, you know. And on this side, sources of food used by campus pantries. Community donations, 85% were equated to community donations. 47% were donated by local businesses. 35% donated by local food banks. And then 50% was purchased at discount or market prices. So I think we're doing pretty good. Only 49% of campus pantries pay someone to staff it. 88% of pantries utilize volunteers, even if they have paid staff. Our pantries are totally by volunteers. Matter of fact, our pantry ran yesterday while I wasn't there totally by student volunteers. It's possible, and it's feasible, and it's sustainable. Pounds of food distributed annually by campus pantries. Less than 5,000 pounds, roughly 41% of campuses who have pantries are in this group. So about 41% of the campus pantries. Less than 5,000 pounds, that's less than 14 pounds per day. More than 20,000 pounds annually, that's less than 55 pounds a day. So you see the majority ranging somewhere up here, and that's the majority. 88% of campus pantries offer more than food to students, like I said, including personal hygiene products, school supplies, and home goods. All right, current challenges. We talk about this a lot when you talk about pantries. The word pantry, like it's just kind of like this, this bad word, so to speak. But I will say this. This is one of the reasons that I advocate for the fresh produce model. I think it's the most sustainable. Focusing on nutrition and health removes the stigma and promotes a positive image for all to adhere to. Nutrition and dietetics is directly correlated to academic and scholastic achievement. This is biology, this is chemistry, this is fact. It is not debatable. It is in the science books. I don't care where you are. And so the food deserts exist in all communities. Again, I don't care if you're urban, if you're rural, if you're north, if you're south. Food deserts are everywhere. And so no college student, again, should have to pay $300 or $400, and no offense, at Whole Food style stores, to become nutrient food for themselves. I mean, again, you're already paying for books, you're already paying to go to school, so I don't see where that can fit into the budget. So focusing on fresh food, fresh produce, and focusing on being nutrient sufficient and focusing on healthy living takes the focus totally to somewhere else. It's no longer a pantry because I can't afford to eat. It's no longer a pantry to give away just food. This is now turned into a whole lifestyle. This is now turned into a mission about healthy and nutrient living, about make sure that we're at our scholastic achieving maximum. Because there's no way that you're doing well in school and you're performing at your maximum and you're performing to your highest abilities. Well, again, if you're eating hot Cheetos and hamburgers and drinking beer every day, no offense, sometimes it's okay. I'm just saying your brain's not working on its maximum capacity. That's all. And so your teachers know this. Psychologists know this. Chemistry professors know this. Everybody knows this. So the point is, if we want you all to retain and graduate and have good GPAs, and we're really talking about retention, this has nothing to do with poverty. This has nothing to do with pantries. This has to do with retention and scholastic achievement. Yes? I mean, that's how I see it. And so once you start putting it in that